You set foot on foreign soil. Only this land isn't ruled by any country or government. In this land we celebrate music. In this land we celebrate games. In this land we celebrate those who compose video game music. Welcome to the VG Embassy. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the VG Embassy. This is a show centered around video game music and the amazing online community of fans and podcasters that enjoy it. My name is Ed, and on each episode I'll take the role of Prime VGM Minister and invite a guest VG Ambassador onto the show to share with us their own video game music culture. Or I may share a part of my own culture on a solo show. This is Sweet 16, Episode 16, Tetris with Logan and Emily, and I have two awesome VG ambassadors, both repeat VG ambassadors here with me today. First up is the designer of this show, I guess you could say. He's the one that came up with the concept. Hi Logan, how are you today?
Good.
Good? Are you excited to do the Tetris show?
Yes.
I believe it. You've been waiting all day for this, right?
Yep. All day.
And Emily, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm here for color commentary, I think. This is really Logan's show.
Yeah, exactly. But you've picked a lot of the tracks too, so we kind of split. Logan and I did a little researching, and we came up with 6 awesome Tetris tracks to play. And Emily came up with 6 tracks that she brought with her today. So we are all live in studio, and we are using brand new Patreon-supplied microphones, so the show's going to sound hopefully different and hopefully a little bit better.
This setup is super sweet.
It is really nice. They're 2 very, very nice microphones. They've got little boom arms and all sorts of crazy wires flying everywhere with a
nice felt tablecloth blanket. When I got here,
Swanky.
Ed was like, "It looks all professional downstairs." And I walked down and I said, "Whoa, you are right."
and a really cool mixer that was supplied by Emily as well.
Yep.
So I'm borrowing that from her for the time being, and we're gonna kick off the show. So Logan, why did you decide you wanted to do a show on Tetris?
Because I really love Tetris, and I thought we could do a Tetris video.
So, you mean a Tetris podcast?
Yep.
Yeah. So, what got you interested in Tetris?
I just really like the music in some of the Tetris games.
Well, what was the first Tetris game that you played?
The Tetris on my iPad.
Oh, okay. I think we have a song from that on the show today, right?
Yep.
Modern Tetris. It'll be interesting to see how much Tetris has or has not changed, I guess, as we kind of go through the years.
It's true, yeah. We're not going to get too deep into the history of Tetris, but I wanted to at least, for people that were not too familiar with it, kind of explain that Tetris is a puzzle game in which shapes made up of 4 blocks called tetraminos or tetraminos, whichever way you want to call it.
Tetraminos.
In various configurations fall from the top of the screen, and the player's job is to align the blocks in a way that it makes a full horizontal row at the bottom. And when this happens, the row disappears. And if the player fails to create a full row, then the blocks stay on the screen and they build towards the top until they either fill the entire screen and the game ends, or until rows are completed and they are removed, right? So what do you think you're better at, Logan? Letting the blocks get all the way to the top or removing rows?
Kind of both.
Both? I know, because
You're a well-rounded Tetris player.
The blocks start really slow at first and then they get faster and faster, right? And it gets
on
much
level
more challenging.
16, on Infinite, it's like infinite and it's so fast. It's super crazy.
Yeah, you gotta...
That only masters can do it.
I believe it. So you get bonus points for removing multiple rows at once, and the maximum amount of rows you can get at once is 4 rows, right, with a straight 4 block. And that's called a Tetris when you do that.
Yep.
So the design was finalized on June of 1984 by Alexei Pajitnov. He was an artificial intelligence researcher working for the Dorodnitsin Computing Center of the Academy of the Soviet Union in Moscow, in Russia. And Alexei loved tennis, so he combined the Greek prefix for four, which is tetra, and the word tennis to create Tetris.
I did not know that.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
That is very cool.
And so Tetris was soon a worldwide sensation, and the game appears on consoles, computers, and mobile devices, and even secret games in like scientific oscilloscopes all over the world. Tetris is in so many places, and it's one of the largest and greatest selling games of all time.
I had a Tetris watch when I was a kid.
I did too.
Yeah.
Those little
did you get
LCD
it from
watches.
Cereal? I forget. I feel like
Oh,
I sent
man.
in some proofs of purchase for that.
I think I might have gotten mine at like a department store, like an old Caldor or a Bradley's or something.
Cool.
But yeah, Tetris was everywhere. And I think even you can get Tetris on your like Apple smartwatch nowadays too. So
I
it's kind of
believe
come
it.
full circle.
And he only just recently, and by recently I mean, I don't know, within the last 10 years maybe, started getting royalties for this. He didn't get royalties at first.
The rights were given to the Soviet government for a while, which actually was responsible for licensing it out to Nintendo and for different
That's
companies
right.
that were making it for like the Amiga and the Commodore 64 and such. And I don't think it was until like 1996 or somewhere around there that
Yeah, 10 years ago.
yeah, they
know.
eventually got the
It's 10 years ago in my mind.
yeah, they eventually got the
I think somebody bought the rights and then gave them to him, something like that.
Something
I feel
like
like
that.
I read this.
I
I should have come with notes. I should have come with notes.
I did a little bit of research on the Wikipedia article and elsewhere around the web, but maybe as we go through the show, we can look up some more information and tell people all about it, right? So, Logan, do you want to tell everybody what our first song of the day is today?
It's A-Type from the normal Tetris everybody knows.
This would be Tetris on the Game Boy, which is one of the best-selling Tetris games out there because it came packed in with the Game Boy. So this was composed by Hirokazu Tanaka and came out in 1989.
Well, here's a fact.
Give me the fact.
Tetris is the world's popular and most fun puzzle games, and it's the best game to play if you're looking for a puzzle on a screen.
That is a fact. I fully agree with you there. All right, want to start the music?
Yes.
All right, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
All right, that was A-Type from Tetris for the Game Boy, which came out in 1989 alongside the Game Boy, and that was composed by Hirokazu Tanaka. And Logan, you were excited to share this one.
Yes.
Why is that?
It's my favorite Tetris music.
Your favorite Tetris music?
Of all?
Nope, but it's one of my favorites.
It's one of your favorites.
Why do you like it so much?
Because once I heard it, it sounded pretty good
Yeah.
to my ears.
In fact, he had to get up and dance it out right now.
Yep.
It was so good it makes you dance.
We were doing Fortnite
Yes.
dances to it.
Yep.
So, when was the first time you heard this song?
On my iPad.
Oh, there's a version of it on your iPad
Yeah,
version?
on Kids YouTube.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they play the song in a lot of different videos for other things that are not related to Tetris too, right?
Yep, like not at all related.
It's because it's permeated the cultural consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like everyone loves it.
Yeah,
They do. I've not met a person who doesn't like the Tetris theme.
exactly. So, Emily, when was the first time you played Tetris on the Game Boy?
That's a good question because I actually did not get Tetris packed in with my Game Boy because when I was a child, I didn't like Tetris. I had a weird vendetta against Tetris
Really?
for some reason.
Interesting.
Yes. So I bought a different game. A weird vendetta. I just decided that I didn't like it and I didn't think it was a good game and I didn't want it to come with my Game Boy. I wanted something else. So it wasn't until I got the watch that I really started appreciating the game.
Well, you liked the music when you had it, right?
Yes, and I do have it now. I have a copy of it now, and I just beat the Game Boy version of Tetris this summer. Finally, I'm a subpar Tetris player, I would say. So it took some doing.
I was pretty good when I was a kid. I got my version of Tetris with the Game Boy, so I would play that, but I think I also had it on the NES as well. And I've talked about my grandparents and how they were big gamers in the past. And so one year, my grandmother, we got her a Game Boy with Tetris because they have like a finished basement, so they were always playing video games downstairs in the basement. And in the springtime, they had this gorgeous, like, glassed in back porch that we would all hang out when we went over there for dinner on the weekends. And so we thought that it would be great if she could, stay on the back porch and enjoy the nice weather and the sunlight while she was playing Tetris too. So we gave her a Game Boy so that she could play Tetris, and she absolutely loved it. And she would hang out back there and keep the windows open and play Tetris. So she had a really good time with that. Plus, when they went on their vacations, because my grandparents were world travelers, she would be able to take Tetris with her as well. So that was one of her favorite games of all time.
This is bringing back good memories of having to position yourself perfectly in the sunlight to be able to see the screen of the original Game Boy. Have you seen an original Game Boy screen, Logan? It doesn't light up from behind, so you'd actually have to kind of cram yourself under a lamp or make sure that you were out in the sun in such a way that you'd actually be able to see what was on the screen.
Kind of like your watch, where you need to have light shining on it in order to see the time.
Yeah, basically.
On my smartwatch, it doesn't really work in the sun. It only works in dark places.
Yeah, your kid's smartwatch has an LCD screen on it, but I'm talking about the other watch, the smaller watch. Can you see that when it's pitch black in your room? Like when it's really dark?
No, but there's a backlight on it.
Oh, okay.
There's like a button you can push.
See,
and
Game
it'll
Boys
light
back
up.
then, they didn't have backlights.
They didn't even have that. There wasn't even a little button that you could push to make it light up.
You would have to get like
sometimes.
lights that would attach to the Game Boy so that you could shine a light on the screen if you were playing in the dark.
Yep.
It's like a little lamp. We're blowing Logan's mind right
Logan's
now.
like, I do not want to live back in
This
those
is
days.
so primitive.
But no.
No, just no. All right.
I would love to live it.
Yeah.
Oh, would you really?
Yes.
Back when we had to, use 1 million batteries all the time for all of our games.
We still do,
so
kind
many
of.
double A's, so many triple A's.
I know.
Double A's, C, D.
All of them.
Yep.
We're still used to using lots of batteries in this house too, but...
B batteries even.
B batteries? Do they even make B batteries?
Well, there's A, C, and D. Those are the ones I know, but
That's
I think
true.
I saw a B before.
So we can infer a B.
I think it's kind of like that rectangular prism one.
Well, it's a 9-volt.
9-volt.
Yeah, it's a 9-volt battery. Maybe they were called Bs at one point. We're coming up with lots of interesting questions on this show so far.
We will revisit this.
Yes.
Yeah, we will.
I got a list right here. Do we have like a pen and I can start keeping track of all the things
That's
we need
true.
to be
We
looking
should.
up?
I think we do.
I'll get one during
Over
the
there.
next track.
Over there.
Speaking of the next track, Emily, this is your pick. What do you have coming up for us?
So I'm gonna go with Music B from Tetris Flash, also known as Tetris 2 for the NES, to sort of complement the A-type music.
Yeah.
This was composed by Miyuki Uemura and Mitsuhiko Takano. Shall I do my intro Ed style? Welcome back. That was Music B from Tetris Flash, also known as Tetris 2 for the NES, composed by Miyuki Uemura and Mitsuhiko Takano.
And I remember playing this one. So it was called Tetris Flash in Japan, but in the US it was Tetris 2. And I remember playing this one, but I don't remember too much about it. I remember that the shapes were very non-standard.
Interesting.
And there were, I think it was like there were different colors or like different like little red dots on the shapes that you kind of had to line up, kind of similar to like Bombliss or something like that. I don't remember. I know that it was another game that my grandparents had and they played a lot, but I didn't play it nearly as much. But this track is really cool. It's very calming. Almost felt like a waltz or like the Blue Danube or something like that.
It does. It feels like a waltz, but one of the reasons why I picked this was because it's in 5/4 time, which I thought was really unusual for a time signature for anything, really.
Yeah.
But it interested me because I didn't notice that at first because it feels symmetrical. You don't really feel the kind of unevenness of it necessarily right away.
Yeah.
And it's so sweet, and it gets in my head, so that's why I picked this
It's very catchy. Logan, what do you think about this?
It's pretty good.
Pretty good?
How does it make you feel? Is it exciting or is it calming?
Calm and exciting.
Calm and exciting. It's when you're in the zone when you're playing Tetris, where you're really sort of subdued, but in your mind, all the wheels are turning really, really fast.
What kind of a Tetris game do you think you would play to this song?
Like a calm, exciting Tetris game. like with flowers for the background.
Okay.
And like smiley faces on the Tetraminos.
Oh, that's cool. I like that idea.
I think that
do you
fits
have to
pretty well.
Maybe if you combine smiley faces, do they become a big smiley face?
Yes.
Yes.
And what do they do when you match
Bombliss.
them?
Exactly.
What do the smiley faces do when you match them all up?
If you get like a whole line of them, you get tons of points. Like probably like 1,000 million.
Whoa.
1,000 million points.
The zeros would just go right off the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Like from right here to all the way off the screen.
I like it. Very cool. All right.
Yes.
So, want to move on to our next track?
Let's do it.
All right, Loki. What do we got coming up next?
We got Tetris Mobile Play.
All right. So, this is Play from Tetris Mobile. And this came out in 2008, and you can get it on iPhones or Android devices. And it's composed by Mr. or Mrs. Unknown. We do not know the composer of this one, but it's a very, very cool track. I think this was the whole reason that you wanted to do this podcast, right? Because you really, really like this song, right?
Yep.
All right.
But I also like all the others that I chose.
They're all very cool, too. All right. Well, let's give this one a listen. We'll be right back.
See you.
All right, we're back. That was Play from Tetris Mobile. That came out on iOS and Android in 2008 by an unknown composer.
Oh, what a tragedy that we don't know who composed that crunchy, crunchy jam.
That was a really cool track, Logie.
It was the best.
The best!
The best.
So, obviously it's the best, but what do you like about this song?
I really like it because there's like lots of, sometimes it's kind of like the bass is kind of like part of the whole song or something.
It's just really crunchy.
Yeah.
It's a very bassy song.
Sometimes the bass is out. There's that part towards the end you really like that got kind of quiet, you know?
And soothing.
Yeah. So you play the game of Tetris while listening to this song in the game, right? It's part of the gameplay?
No, you have to buy it with T-coins and
That's Electronic Arts for you.
Yeah.
You have to buy this song.
You have to buy the song?
You have to buy the song.
Yes. But only with Tetris coins.
So you earn coins by playing the game, and then you can use them to buy new soundtracks.
You earn coins by playing and completing games in the Tetris Mobile.
Okay, cool.
Well, I hope that this unknown composer is getting Tetris coin royalties off of this.
Yes.
He just gets a bunch of T-coins in the mail one day.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's this coming from?
You open up your mailbox and just Tetris
like,
notes fall out. Yeah.
Logan really wanted to play this track. That's why I have this mailbox full of T-coins.
Yep. If I made that game, I would only make that track free.
Yeah, free for everyone.
Yeah, like the Tetris theme on it. There's also one that's not pixel.
Yeah, there's a remix of the Tetris A-type theme, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But it's not like the one we played earlier in the first.
It's not like a chiptune track?
Yeah, it's like a
It's like a dance remix, right?
Yeah, smoother club version.
Yeah, it's not A-type. It's kind of different.
Okay.
It's a remix.
I gotcha. So how does Tetris Mobile, how is it different from like the Tetris Game Boy game?
Well, it's kind of the same, just there's no pixels. It's not pixelated.
Okay, so it's not like, 8-bit graphics. It's more like...
It's a smoother, rounder club experience.
Yeah. Smooth.
What are the backgrounds like? Are they like scenes of nature, or are they...
No, they're just like, it's kind of like a boring blue background with like light blue lines and dots.
Okay.
It's kind of cool to look at, but once you've seen it a lot of times, it's kind of boring.
I believe it.
They don't want to distract you from your strategy, I suppose. They want you to focus on the blocks.
Yeah, because the blocks falling are just much more concentrating than the background.
Sure, I believe it. That's what you want to look at while you're playing. Is there a score that you have to get, like a high score, or do you have to clear a certain number of blocks?
You have to clear a certain number of, lines, and if you get a Tetris, that's 4 more to your block number.
Oh, very cool.
And sometimes if you get it all clear, you win the game. So you gotta get a few Tetrises in the game to win.
Okay, so that'll help you clear the entire screen?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So my question is, are you using your finger to drop the blocks on this? Or are you using...
No, you just swipe left or right to turn it, and then you swipe down to
drop it.
Yeah.
Okay.
To fast drop it.
But so there is touch involved.
Yeah, but there's also a joystick.
Oh, that you could use instead?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Like a kind of controller kind of thing.
So you can choose your Tetris experience. I've never played Tetris using touch controls. So it's an interesting thought.
Which way do you like playing better? Do you like the touch controls, or do you like using a controller?
Touch controls.
Yeah.
It's cooler.
Yeah.
But if you don't want fast drop anymore, just swipe up.
Oh, interesting. That's kind of like toggling the fast drop on and off?
Yeah. If there was a camera, I'd show you, but I can't.
Sorry, listeners.
So Emily, we were researching batteries.
We were.
And we were
because
talking
we're such
about
interesting people.
I know, we were talking about B batteries before and why there aren't any B batteries. And what did we find out?
We discovered that there were B batteries at one time, and there were also just regular A batteries at one time, but that there was kind of a re-standardization of sizes later on, and that the size of the electronics that were using the batteries factored into what batteries kind of stuck with what we use.
Right.
So A and B fell out of fashion, but apparently B is still used across the pond in certain things.
Yeah, they say Europe's and like lanterns and
bicycle lamps.
Bicycle lamps, yeah. You can find B batteries and A batteries for those. But AA and AAA are what became very popular over here.
Right.
Yeah.
And C and D stuck around too. And there was also a number 6 battery that I guess was very, very popular around World War II, but was not in use anymore.
I think it's still out, just it's not around the whole entire world anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like in certain countries or states.
I think that's what the article said. You're right. Good
Yeah.
memory.
Yep.
Very cool.
Do you remember having electronics that took like 8 D batteries?
I remember like 6
Yes.
or 8 D batteries, like big trucks that make lots of noises and stuff
Yep.
like that. Yeah, they take a lot of electricity.
Yes.
They take like 10 volts.
The nice thing about toys today, I think, is that electronics are more efficient. So batteries, you can do more with less batteries, which is nice because you don't have to waste so much. And they're not so heavy anymore either.
Yep.
No, in
Yep.
snap circuits, they only use AA, no AAAs.
That's true. And you can combine lots of packs of AA's to make stronger lights and
Yes.
faster fans and when you build your circuits.
And if you have like all the snap circuits, like snap circuits red, snap circuits green, the snap circuits Rover Deluxe, and the normal snap circuits, and snap circuits light, and snap circuits, all the snap circuits in Connecticut, you can build the highest fan. It might go up to 15,000 feet, maybe.
Whoa.
Whoa.
You're going to have to make sure there's no aircraft flying overhead
That's right.
before you launch.
Are you snapping these circuits together sort of like Tetris pieces? Snap, snap?
No,
Drop?
like there's the way you snap them together is like there's a hole, and then there's like one that's like this, and then they snap
And they click.
together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So not quite like Tetris.
Yeah, you're making circuits. You're
Yeah.
building circuit. You're basically building
Because it's
circuit
like-
boards.
One is a connector that you connect to another, and you can just snap
Click.
it together.
I see.
And Emily, I can show you after the podcast.
Oh, I'd love to see.
Yeah,
We
I have some.
lots of snap circuits.
Excellent. I'll add that to my
Lots.
list of things to do.
Logan is a budding scientist.
Snap
Yep.
circuits.
I have lots of electronics in my room. And
All
even
right.
gears.
Yeah, gears and circuits and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
You want to play the next song?
Yeah.
All right, Emily, what you got for us today?
Okay, well, I didn't put mine in any particular order, so why don't we go with... Let's do Super Tetris 2 plus Bomb Bliss for the Super Nintendo. We're going to be listening to Tetris A-Type, so we're going back to the A music, composed by Mitsuhiko Takano, K4, and Dal-chan.
All right, let's hit it.
That was Super Tetris 2 plus Bomb Bliss. The track was Tetris A-Type for the Super Nintendo. This is our second composition by Mitsuhiko Takano, so apparently I really like that composer when Tetris is involved. And also K4 and Dal-chan.
Yeah, so this was produced by Bulletproof Software, or BPS as they're known, And they were a big-time licensor of Tetris games, and they released lots of games on the Super Nintendo and other consoles and computer systems, mainly in Japan, but a few made it over to the US. But these games were all Japan only, which is interesting because they are entirely in English. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I first had my SNES copier unit, those little devices you can, plop on top of a Super Nintendo and play games off of floppy disks. Mm-hmm. These were some of the first games that I downloaded because I was able to easily understand what I was doing.
I did not even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
We're talking 3 1/4?
Yes.
3.5?
Yep. Actually, I have one that I can even show you later on. They're pretty cool.
Super cool.
So,
you dirty pirate.
I know, I was a bad kiddo back then.
Such a pirate.
But it gave me all the information I needed and got interested in video games enough that I am doing podcasts now. So I guess something good came out of it.
Right. And I can benefit from all of your piracy by not technically being involved, but getting to see all the cool stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my emulation knowledge by doing your streams. So everything all works out. It comes full circle. So Emily, why did you choose this particular track?
I just really loved it. I thought I was going to be picking a track from Tetris Attack, and this sounded kind of Tetris Attack-y to me. So it was sort of the same sort of cute feel, and I don't know. I just really thought that it was very sweet, and we were just playing this game before we started. We were doing a little Tetris research. I'd never played a bombless version, so I was kind of learning the rules and things, and it was super fun. I enjoyed the addition of explosives into my Tetris experience.
Yes, I would be more than happy to entertain the notion of playing a karaoke version of this song on the show if anybody wants to submit one. I think this would be a great karaoke track.
Hint, hint. Yes, absolutely.
Very nice hummable melody, very, very easy to listen to song. What do you think about this track, Logie?
It's pretty good.
Do you think you could make up lyrics to sing to this track?
No, I don't think.
No, not you personally? No. Do you think somebody else could?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, you.
Me?
You?
Oh no, you're calling me out.
He's in the hot seat.
I don't know.
You've been chosen.
I'd prefer to play somebody else's karaoke because I would like other voices to be on the VG Embassy.
You, Emily.
Maybe.
Oh, man. We'll see.
I'll put some thought into it.
We'll call it Tetrisoki. Tetrioki?
Tetrioki.
That sounds like a Polish food.
It does.
Tetrioki.
A delicious one.
Yes.
Sounds like a gaming food.
You have to eat 4. You can only eat 4 of them. Because that's Tetra, right?
Actually,
Tetra means 4.
Yeah.
I was recently at a video game bar called the Bit Bar in Salem, Massachusetts, and they had Tetris fries that you could get with your food, and they were actually shaped as Tetriminos.
That is awesome.
It was very fun.
I would be just playing with them instead of actually eating them.
We were in fact we're doing this. Ben Dishman, the Dyad of the Dyad Presents, got this as his side with one of his dishes, and we were trying to put it together, and we realized at some point that there were no just long blocks, surprisingly. So we were never Tetris ready.
That would be just a regular fry, though. That seems like it would be the easiest one to make.
I know. It's probably
it would be a rectangular prism because there would be like 4 blocks in a row. It wouldn't be a normal fry because there would be like black lines, and black lines are not on fries.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Mr. Technical.
Hey, who's calling me Mr. Technical?
Well, you are.
I'm not.
You're very specific about things. That's all that means. I'm not making fun of you, if that's what you think. So I like this track because, like I said, it's got very easy to listen to synths. We were talking about the drum fills that go from speaker to speaker. Those are really cool. It kind of reminded me of like if you win a shmup or something like that. It's got that kind of a feel to it.
Yeah, it's such a shmup.
A shoot 'em up, a spaceship shooting game.
Yeah, They do a lot of drum fills that go from one side to the
stereophonic effects. Yeah,
so much.
So Bombless is pretty cool, right? Logan, why don't you try to explain Bombless to us?
Well, there's blocks and there's like 1 or more bombs on them. There's also one that's not a tetrinimo. It's got 5 bombs on a long one.
Yes.
That's right. There were some special shapes in this game, yeah.
Yep. There's even ones that had like a big elf.
Yeah, that's true. So they're
big elf.
So most of them are shaped like regular Tetris blocks, right? But then they have these little red bombs kind of embedded into. So like one of the blocks will be a red bomb, and if you create a line and the line happens to have a bomb in it, the bomb will explode and take out blocks. So if you make a regular line with no bombs in it, it'll show the line go across the screen, but the blocks won't disappear at all. You can only clear blocks off the screen by
using bombs,
exactly.
And then if you stack bombs, what happens?
If you stack bombs in like arranged in 4, it comes into one big bomb.
One big bomb.
But I haven't seen anyone make a huge bomb like 3 big bombs or 4 big bombs to make a gigantic bomb.
Yeah, so 4 bombs arranged in a square makes a big bomb, but I don't know if 4 big bombs arranged in a square make an ultra bomb. That would be really cool to try to make.
And if 4 ultra bombs become into a mega bomb.
If you got a mega bomb, I think it would explode your console.
Yeah, you wouldn't have any Super Nintendo left, or Super Famicom in this case.
We should check the manual. Warning, do not make an ultra bomb.
You mean mega bomb.
Mega bomb.
But there's something bigger than a mega bomb.
Here we go.
An ultra mega bomb.
An ultra mega bomb.
That's like the entire screen.
Which is 4 mega bombs together.
Holy cow.
Which is the whole screen. And if it explodes, there would be like one line for like only like straight tetrominoes to fit in.
Gotcha.
And then if you get all the straight tetrominoes in, then it might glitch out and you might...
And say goodbye to the neighborhood.
Break the game.
No, it wouldn't break the game. It would just be super, super glitchy.
Yeah.
It would just be like...
Too much explosion for the processor to handle, right?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be glitchy. It could just be like a big explosion, but like slowly exploding one by one.
Okay. So much processing that this game slows down?
Yeah.
Oh, slow down.
Yeah.
Explosion, slow down.
So it wouldn't break the console or have super bad glitching.
It would just slow down so the processor could handle it better, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, I'm calling it right now, Logan, when you become a chiptune artist, your chiptune artist name should be Ultra Mega Bomb. Or Explosion Slowdown. Or Slowdown Explosion.
Or Glitch Bomb.
He does not approve of these names.
No.
We'll put some thought in. We'll workshop it.
If I made a Tetris game, I would call it Ultra Bliss.
Ultra Bliss. Ooh, nice one. Like Bomb Bliss, but Ultra.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like that one.
Because then you could be in a tetrimino. Because there would be like a camera in one of the blocks.
Whoa, so like a virtual reality Tetris?
I was going to say VR Tetris.
Yeah, VR Tetris.
Very cool. And you can see the blocks falling from their perspective.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So if you look up, it would be the same on the top, like on one side. And there would be like multiple of them, but there would be a floor, like a screen. Because if you look down, then the game pauses.
I was going to say, this would be really hard, actually, thinking about doing VR Tetris. If you are the block and you don't know the shape of the block, you have to look around to be able to kind of figure out what you are.
That would be the challenge, yeah.
Right, and then also have to be able to position yourself from first-person view.
No, there would be like a button that says, look into tetrominoes.
Oh, so you wouldn't default be in that view?
Yeah,
Maybe that would be different modes of the game.
Yeah. Like, because then you would be a tetramino, not looking like from a tetramino. Like, because if you would, then you would only look straight. But you would still be a tetramino.
I see. Maybe if you're standing on top of a tetramino.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
But you would be a tetramino.
I see. Okay, I think I'm grasping the concept here.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on to our next song?
Yes.
All right. I think we've exhausted that conversation.
Take notes, developers.
All right, Logie, so what do you want to play from next?
Well, we did do play, so now I think we should move on to Asian Flower.
All right, Asian Flower from Tetris Party Deluxe, and this came out on the Wii and the Nintendo DS in 2010, and it was composed by Takashi Watanabe, Tomoya Yoshida, Keisuke Fukihira, and Ishiro Shimakura. That was Asian Flower from Tetris Party Deluxe, which came out on the Nintendo DS and the Wii in 2010, composed by Takashi Watanabe, Tomoya Yoshida, Keisuke Fukihira, and Ishiro Shimakura. Why did you pick this one, Logan? There were a lot of tracks that we went through from Tetris Party and or Tetris Party Deluxe, and you picked this one.
Because it's one of my favorites. It's my second favorite. My first favorite is Tetris Type A.
From the Tetris mobile game?
No. From the first song we did.
Oh, from the
in
Game
this
Boy
podcast.
Tetris?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a chiptune fan, huh?
Yeah.
Nice. A chip off the old block. So,
Get it?
I get it.
Like a tetramino?
Get it?
A tetramino
Jokes?
is a block.
Good jokes.
Jokes!
So, I got dad jokes by the dozen. There will be more.
There will be more in this podcast.
Yeah.
He can't,
So,
he can't
later
help
on.
it, folks. He just can't.
it's just part of my DNA at this point, literally.
It's a mutation.
Yeah.
No, it is not.
Once you become a dad, you just mutate into having
No,
those
you
jokes.
Kids radiate humor into
no,
their
I
dads.
don't. I don't.
All right, so let's get back to talking about the music and less about me, since you guys are the stars of the show here. What does this song make you think of?
It makes me think of like China or Japan.
Oh,
because
okay.
it sounds more like Japan or China music than USA music.
It does, yeah. It has that traditional flute, which I think is called a shakuhachi or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. But yes, a traditional woodwind instrument.
Yeah, we'll type in that question before the next song starts. Not
Putting it on my list.
song starts, not song starts or song.
More research to be done.
Yes.
We're turning
Yes.
into like librarians here.
Hey.
Like you.
That's
Emily.
right. That's my mutation. I mutated into a librarian.
No one's mutated. By the way, mutation is not a real thing.
What?
It's not.
It's not.
No.
It actually is.
No, it's not.
It's genetic mutation. We don't mutate like the Ninja Turtles do,
Yes.
but in a different kind of way. Just
That's
not in
the
such
kind
a
of
flashy way.
mutation I'm talking about.
Okay. So no extreme mutations.
No.
Okay.
No mutations
extreme.
from green goo.
So this song is called Asian Flower, and it's the second time we talked about flowers and Tetris on this show, which is very cool. And this does have a very floral kind of Asian garden kind of feel. I think
Very
it's
chill.
Yeah, like you can. It's chill, but it's got some energy behind it. Like I've heard actually, much more chill Asian music than this, but this does have kind of a tempo that will keep you playing the game. And Logan, you played this game on my 3DS a little bit before we started recording the show. What did you think about it?
It's the best game I've ever played.
Holy cow! What was so good about
What
it?
an endorsement.
It's because I really like the backgrounds and I really like how the controls are set up to play it.
So, what about the backgrounds did you like so much?
There's like different backgrounds for everything, but now I'm getting mixed up with Bombless. There's not actually different things.
Oh,
It's
okay.
actually kind of the two things or something.
We were doing so much Tetris research that things are starting to blend together
Yeah,
a
we
little
played a
bit.
whole bunch of Tetris games back to back, so. But you still like the game a lot?
Yes.
Well, you know what I liked about Tetris Party Deluxe, which is something that happens in a lot of Tetris games, but not all, is that you could choose the music that you wanted. So you, specifically Logan, picked Asian Flower to play too while you were playing that one.
Yeah.
Very cool. And it sounds really good coming out of the DS speakers, too.
I wonder if that's something that the developers actually think about in terms of Tetris games. Like, this is a Tetris game. We should allow people to choose their puzzle music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of been a tradition since the first Nintendo game
Right.
that came out, which was not the first Tetris game, but yeah, there's always been that kind of, here, you can flavor the game any way you want. And I mean,
Flavor.
certain people have their own favorite Tetris tracks that they like to play too. I used to kind of just cycle through them because I liked them all, so I would get tired of one and then I would just move on to Tetris Type C or Type B music. And
That's
then
interesting because I would pick my favorite, and that
Yeah.
would be like the one.
Logan's a Type A guy, right?
Yep, that's the only one I choose for it. I'm a Type A.
Yeah, you're a Type A in a lot of things.
I'm a chiptune guy.
You are, which is good because that's what we play a lot of on this podcast. But we also play some modern stuff too. So speaking of that, Emily, what do we have coming up? Is it chiptune or is it modern?
I know. I was just thinking. I don't know. What do you think, Logan? Do you think we should stay with the chips?
Or do you want to play modern song?
Modern song.
Okay, let's play a modern song. Why don't we go...
I didn't say that. I just wanted to know what that meant.
Oh, that means newer type of song, like in the Tetris mobile game, and not like a chippy sounding song like in the Tetris Game Boy game.
So pixelated Tetris or smooth Tetris?
Which song do you want to hear next?
Pixelated.
All right. So we're going to stay with the Game Boy, but we're going to go Game Boy Color.
Game Boy Color.
That's right. This is Magical Tetris Challenge, composed by Harumi Fujita, and we're going to be listening to the track Magical Tetris.
All right.
See ya.
Magical Tetris from Magical Tetris Challenge for the Game Boy Color, composed by the great Harumi Fujita. That was a get up and dance track.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, some of us were chair dancing, but there was some getting up and dancing as well.
Logan was dancing around like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we invented a dance to this.
We were making up names for different dances.
Yeah,
it's true. Yes, I have a tradition of naming dance moves that occur when I'm listening to tracks, and I was doing a new thing that I've not done before to the music, and so we were trying to come up with a
ladder
name.
climb.
The ladder climb. A very funky ladder
Yeah.
climb.
Arms were kind of going up and down, shimmying back and forth.
A little bit of a shoulder
climbing a ladder.
Torque. Yeah, exactly.
And then you were doing what? What was your dance name?
The flap.
The flap.
Mm-hmm.
The flap.
So you were jumping up and down on the couch, and your arms and your legs were going up and down at the same time. Kind of like, I don't even know, like a bird, basically, flapping around like crazy.
And then there was a plunk involved at the end.
Right, that was the flap and fall.
The flap and fall, yes.
Flap and fall and land.
Very Tetris-like, in fact.
So, what made you want to dance to this song, Logie?
I just felt like I wanted to.
Yeah, has a great groove, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dun 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 dun.
It sounds like a groove dance.
It does. And Harumi Fujita did write some Mega Man music, and I think this sounds a lot like some of the stuff that she wrote. Well, she worked on Mega Man 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Magical Tetris Challenge is a Disney Tetris game in which it's kind of got like some overhead RPG elements. And
yeah, we were very surprised.
Yeah.
We fired this up before the show, and yeah, you choose your Disney character, and you wander around as a very adorable Disney sprite in a sort of town situation, and you run into other characters, and they challenge you to what seem to be different types of Tetris matches.
Yeah, and you have to earn coins from them. So every time you beat them, you earn a coin, and you have to get, I think, all 5 coins to...
5 or 6 or something.
Yeah, you have to enter the Tetris tournament and then play against like the bad guys in order to win the Tetris championship.
Yeah.
That's what we gleaned.
Yeah.
And at the end of the game, I think there's kind of like a prize, something.
I'm sure there's some sort of an ending sequence where you get a maybe a golden Tetramino or something as a prize.
Be great if something just printed out of your Game Boy printer as your prize.
Oh, that would be sweet. Like a big picture of Mickey Mouse made up of Tetris blocks.
Oh, man.
Or maybe...
Take all day to print.
I know.
Or if,
Mom, I'm out of ink again.
Or if there was, like, a dispenser that shot money
Whoa.
out.
That would be
prize.
awesome.
Well, they say Nintendo does print money, so...
Nintendo does not print money.
It's a meme.
It's a figure of speech.
Yes.
It's figurative language.
Right.
Well, if there was, and if there was a button that you just needed to get money, you would be able to choose 20, 40, 80, 100.
Like a Game Boy ATM. Oh my god, why haven't we thought of this before?
I know, and the money obviously has to be Tetriminos, that when you combine a 10 and a 10, it becomes a bigger bill, which is a 20. It's like Bomb Bliss.
Yeah.
But the problem is,
But
if you
with
combine them
dollar
in the right
bills.
way, then they disappear.
Oh, so you gotta be very, you have to be very careful when you arrange these things in your wallet.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
If you stack them so it goes all the way across the wallet, poof.
If it goes all the way across the wall, it forms into one $10 million.
A $10 million bill?
Yeah, $10 million.
It's gonna be hard to break change for that at the restaurant.
break change for
Now
that.
every time I'm at the ATM, I feel like I'm gonna say something like, I'm Tetris ready. Get my bills.
That's pretty much all we got to cover with Magical Tetris Challenge, right?
Basically, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a fun little game. I think the Tetris was pretty good. You said the controls were a little slidey, though.
They were. I don't know if that was just the controller, though. I feel that the controller was extra super sensitive for some reason.
Maybe. We'll have to try it on a real Game Boy and see how it goes. But let's move on to our next track of the day. Logan, which one do you want to choose next?
Well, since I'm going in order, I think I'll choose the Gypsy Dance.
All right, this is Gypsy Dance from Tetris Axis, which came out on the 3DS in 2011, and it's composed by Brian Di Lucente. That was the Gypsy Dance from Tetris Axis, which came out on the 3DS in 2011, composed by Brian Di Lucente. Logan, I think I know why you picked this one. Why did you pick this one?
Because it's different versions of Type A music from the original Tetris, the
Yeah.
very first one that we did.
So it starts off kind of
podcast.
similar to the regular
Yeah.
8-bit Type A song and then becomes a remix.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very, very dancey, too. I really like this one. I like how they added the dance beat behind it and then made it sound like a club song, but it sounds kind of like it has like a little European flair, like a gypsy dance, so that's pretty cool. good find.
And it seems like the game itself is kind of a remix in a certain way. We were just watching YouTube
This game looks awesome.
Yeah, and I guess the game has all the different kinds of Tetris you could possibly imagine, and then more. I can't even explain some of the stuff we just saw.
Yeah, really cool and unique ways you can use Tetris blocks to build pictures that are on the top of the screen. You can build a tower that a little guy that is like trying to climb the tower, you build staircases for him to get to the top.
Mm-hmm.
We have a special guest tuning in at the end of the podcast, so stay in for that.
That's true. There's another ambassador that has joined us.
But we don't want to give away the surprise, so let's go on to the next music.
You sure? You don't want to talk about this one anymore? Okay. Let's move on. So my pick, so we just did a 3DS tune, so why don't we do something from Tetris 4D? Taking it to the Dreamcast. Oh yeah. We're going to be listening to Impact, and we don't know who the composer was. Composed by
don't.
question mark, question mark, question mark.
All right.
We do not know.
Let's take a listen.
See ya.
Tetris 4D for the Sega Dreamcast. That was Impact by the unknown composer. Welcome to the dark sci-fi industrial version of Tetris.
Yeah, this game is not rainbows and nature scenes and...
It's not kittens and rainbows.
No kittens and rainbows on this one. It's very technological and gritty and cool.
Yes, reflected in both the music and the aesthetic.
Cool and scary at the same time.
Cool and scary. Yeah, there was sort of a background at one point that looked like different Tetris pieces that were sort of like pulsing, like they were like organs or hearts beating or something. Pretty interesting stuff. And I think it was cool to look at that and to go through this whole soundtrack for this game because it really does kind of emphasize to you how part of the Tetris experience is being kind of colorful and cute or pretty or sort of light in some ways.
Right, and it's amazing how different a puzzle game feels just based on the theme around it, even if the gameplay is identical, because this game doesn't really have anything special going for it. It's pretty much just Tetris on the Dreamcast.
Right.
But because of the gritty soundtrack, and I really like this like really heavy beat with these like guitar stabs, and there's not a lot of melody to it. It's just really grindy background music. But,
yeah.
Guitar stabs.
Yeah, like
those, wow, and some horn stabs in there and things like that. I thought it was cool. That's the kind of tune that I would really love to have in the background of my puzzle gaming experience. I feel like I would never get tired of that.
Me too. I'm exactly the same way. I mean, hummable melodies are fun, but sometimes they get stuck in your head too much, and after you stop playing, you're like, really? Can I stop hearing this when I wake up in the morning? And this is just kind of even if it does get stuck in your head, it's still a nice little pattern that you could at least be productive too, you know, and not just hum without being able to do anything else.
What do you think, Logan? Do you like colorful, kind of happy Tetris, or do you like the gritty, dark Tetris more?
Both.
Both.
If you had to play one, though, which one would you play?
Both.
Both.
Okay.
You like it all.
Yes.
He's an equal opportunity theme Tetris person.
I wonder how many other
Because-
Tetris games there are that are kind of dark and gritty.
Because the game that we were playing, like, the first song that we were playing in the podcast, that's kind of both. It's kind of nice and creepy at the same time. Because of the background. It's black. And it's dark. Because it's kind of like a pretty dark, like that. Like those. See? Those.
Oh, like the sound absorbers I have on my wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, dark shapes. That's right, because we were playing on the Super Game Boy mode, so everything was yellow and red and black. So, but actually the original game was just different shades of green, if you could believe it or not.
Yeah, it's kind of like navy green.
Navy green.
Olive green, navy green.
There you go.
Same thing.
Same thing.
I wonder which developers sort of had the idea. I'm just trying to think of what it was like to be working on a Tetris game and to have that thought, like, you know what this needs? This needs really pretty backgrounds. Let's put in some flowers. Let's put in some shooting stars, that kind of thing.
I think it was maybe kind of a natural development because I think, for one, people, even the developers of the game, are probably staring at this stuff over and over again. They're like, what do I want to look at while I'm playing
Man,
this
I
game?
really wish that I could be in a botanical garden right now.
Exactly.
Let's put it in.
Throw it in there, and then we'll have it change up a little bit, and then we'll have some animated stuff, and yeah, just do whatever. And this game had like animated mechanical arms, like doing things in the background, and like space stations, and it had a very technology feel to it. So it was a lot different than the rainbows and stuff. So
Yep.
yeah. Are you ready to move on to the next song?
Yes.
All right. What do we got coming up next?
The one I want to choose, it's Versus Game from Tetris the Grandmaster 3.
All right. Tetris the Grandmaster 3 Terror Instinct. Speaking of dark Tetris.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Speaking of it,
This was an arcade game that came out in 2005, composed by Shinji Hosoe and Ayako Saso, otherwise known as the Sampling Masters.
let's move right in.
All right, that was Versus Game from Tetris the Grandmaster 3 Terror Instinct. From the arcade in 2005, composed by Shinji Hosoe and Ayako Sasso. Logan, this is the craziest track, I think. What was he singing about on that song?
Singing?
Yeah. Remember?
No
Sounds like pizza, 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 pizza. I think he was singing about pizza. What do you think he was saying?
I think he was just out of breath.
I know, the song is pretty crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy.
Speaking of out of breath, we just watched the world record run for this game on YouTube, recorded on an actual arcade machine at an amusement park. Wow. We have no idea how a human brain processes that fast. It was really something.
Like the way he, one block was as fast as a nanosecond. Who can do that?
It was insane. I know, it was Shirase mode, which means that the blocks appear literally on top of the other blocks. They don't even fall from the top of the screen. So you have to maneuver them into place as soon as they appear. And this person was just ripping through 1,300 different lines in 4 minutes or something. It was absolutely insane. So.
And then at the end, they kind of did an arcade, I guess at the end of Pac-Man in the arcade, the boards kind of reverse, or the controls switch on you or something towards the end. And at the end of this, the Tetris blocks were no longer colored and they were just showing up as green brackets. So sort of in the final lap, they sort of ripped away everything from you that you could be using to try to stay on top of the game, almost. You could still see the preview of the shapes coming up, but I could not understand how someone could quickly take that in without relying on colors at least a little bit.
Yeah, the blocks turn into green brackets, which were how they basically looked in the very first version of Tetris that Alexei Pajitnov programmed. So, pretty intense stuff.
It was pretty hard for anyone to do that.
Yeah. This was an arcade game put out by Arika, the same guys who did the Street Fighter EX series. And I think it was only released in Japan, but there was a series of competitive Tetris arcade games. And so this is the song that plays during the competitive versus mode. And I guess they wanted to keep things really intense because this song is like...
Yeah. We were talking about that, about how cool it would be to watch two people. Just imagine the most intense Street Fighter competition you've seen in an arcade, but then imagine that it's two people playing Tetris instead. I would love to see that. Screaming, jamming on the controls, jumping around.
If competitive Tetris garnered as much attention and fervor as Street Fighter 2 did.
Right.
And people were just putting quarters on the screens and I got next.
Right.
I'm going to pick the L block or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've seen some of the world champion competitions for Tetris. I can't remember which competition it was, but and it's the crowd's very silent unless something amazing happens.
Like golf, yeah.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, or they're like, ah! But then they really sort of hold it down, and the players who are playing it are super focused and controlled. And I'm assuming that this person playing the arcade version was as well. But I would like to imagine a world where Tetris players were as animated as Final Fight players, or,
Yeah, that would be ridiculous to watch. I'd love to see somebody actually do this. I'll post the YouTube video on the Facebook group of the world record for this game because, it was pretty intense. It's definitely worth a watch.
And Emily, if you were to do that, how far do you think you would go for the levels?
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna say not really that far, because
not 1,300.
No, absolutely not that far. In the Game Boy version that I played over the summer and finally beat, it took me so many tries to get past the final level, and it was falling so quickly that if you needed to land your block all the way to one side and you weren't already mashing on the D-pad before it started falling, it would get stuck and would not go the whole way. And that was very difficult. So even seeing the block fall even a little bit,
Yeah, it shows you the next, I think, 3 upcoming blocks at the top of the screen, so the person who was playing was basically buffering in their mind 3 blocks ahead of time in order to move. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, it was insane.
It was
insane, listeners.
And also, speaking of crazy arcade antics, for anybody out there who's a DDR fan, did that sound like one of the Paranoia songs to you? Because that's all I can think of when I'm listening to this Versus game, is that it's DDR Paranoia Jungle Mix or something.
I wonder if the same composers did any. I don't know if Shinji Hosoe and Ayako Sasso did any DDR
I don't know.
But that would be interesting.
It could
I'm
also
not very
just
up
be
on DDR.
right, and it could also just be sort of the music of the time, like the arcade music flavor.
Yeah,
possibly.
right. Like the
What
very
about
kind of
Dance Dance Revolution Tetris? Would you play Dance Dance Revolution Tetris? There are people who make a point of trying to complete games that aren't meant to use a DDR pad with a DDR pad. So
I can see Tetris kind of being compatible, where you would just step on different sides to spin and to drop and to move back and forth. So.
I'm sure the videos exist somewhere.
Yeah.
Someone has done this.
Yeah, because you can have the up one spin and then left and right, move left and right, and then down to drop. Pretty easy.
Well, Logan.
If you were to rate how insane that was, rate from 1 to 100.
I would say 110,000. Seriously, everybody, watch that video.
You should see Logan's face right now. Mind blown. What would you rate it from 1 to 100?
110 billion.
Whoa!
Quadrillion.
Emily, you got burned.
I did. See, I'm telling you.
1 billion quadrillion tetramillion.
Oh, throwing in the tetra in there.
See,
Nice
I told
job.
you,
High five.
I'm a subpar Tetris player. You win. You win that versus match.
And tetramino 1,000.
Boy, these are some amazing
which is even
numbers.
bigger than infinity.
All right, Logie, do you want to move on to the next track? I think this next one is Emily's pick.
So which one?
Which one? We are going to go with the new Tetris.
The new
The new Tetris. This is a Nintendo 64 game. The composer is Neil D. Voss, and we're going to be listening to Egypt theme.
All right, let's hit it.
right now. See ya.
Nah, that was Egypt theme from the new Tetris. That is so my jam. Composed by Neil D. Voss for the Nintendo 64.
Oh, good.
I cannot wipe the grin off of my face.
We just want an infinite loop.
Yes.
So it would go on forever on this podcast.
Oh, the track is so good. I mean, we've listened to a lot of great tracks, and I do really love all the ones that I've picked, but this one, speaking of infinite, I do drop this tune into Infinite Looper and then just listen to it for an entire afternoon, sometimes with some dancing in my living room peppered in. I love this track so much.
It is really, 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 really good, and especially for like an N64, which isn't really lauded for its amazing soundtracks. Neil Voss did an amazing job with this particular soundtrack.
Oh, it's so good. I love the sitar sampling. I don't know that I've ever heard a sitar actually sampled in a video game tune before. And what this reminds me of, this is going to sound really strange, but what this reminds me of is in Encarta 95. So back when your dad and I were younger, Logan, it was very exciting when encyclopedias got put on discs that you could put in your computer and then search for articles, kind of like Wikipedia, but just not on the internet. And one of the things that you could do in Encarta 95 was search for musical instruments and actually watch little video clips of people playing the instruments or listen to audio. And this was mind-blowing back then to be able to do that. And there was a sitar clip. And I listened to these clips quite a lot back in the day. And this is kind of what this reminds me of. So I get some interesting sort of Windows 95 feelings mixed in with sort of the modern dance beats. It's just it's doing a lot of good things to my brain to listen to this, is what I'm trying to say.
Logan's still singing it in his head.
Yep. Have you ever seen a sitar, Logan? Do you know what it looks like? It's this big stringed instrument with like a big sort of like globe at the bottom.
Looks like a giant kind of guitar. It's got strings on it with a big neck. And it sounds like that instrument that was in this song, so.
For me, it sounds pretty good. But for me, it's kind of like number one. Well, Type A from the first one we did, it's still number one. They're both number one.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Just as much as that one. And that's like one of your favorite video game songs of all time, so.
No, wait.
Wait.
The one we listen to right now is number 0.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Platinum.
Whoa. Really?
Platinum Diamond.
Can something really unseat the traditional Tetris song?
Yeah.
I guess it just did.
Maybe.
Pretty impressive.
Wow.
Yeah, Neil Voss only made 3 video game soundtracks. He did the new Tetris, and then he did, before that, he did Tetris Sphere on the N64, which had a similar soundtrack. And then like 5 or 6 years later, he did Racing Gears Advance on the Game Boy Advance, which had an amazing techno soundtrack on a Game Boy Advance, which was really hard to do too. So all of his soundtracks won awards for being really, really awesome.
You said Tetris Sphere?
Tetris Sphere, like a globe, like a sphere.
Oh, Tetris Sphere.
Yeah,
okay, I thought
but it's all one word.
Not Tetris.
Tetris Sphere.
Well, the original
Tetris
version
Fear.
of that game was going to be a
Tetris.
Jaguar game called Fear, P-H-E-A-R.
Yeah.
But then the Jaguar tanked, so they moved development over to the N64 and called it Tetris Sphere.
I get it.
S-P-H-E-R-E.
So this sort of portmanteau thing, does that also reflect the aesthetic of the game too? Is it like a darker?
You're playing Tetris on a globe.
So really, there actually is sort of a split in the Tetris series, and there's like the dystopian branch.
Oh no! It's not fear as in like being scared fear.
Oh, I was hoping it was.
It's sphere as in a round globe sphere.
But
you're playing Tetris on a sphere.
But you were saying the game Fear.
Well, I don't know what the Jaguar game looked like because they didn't
Sphere.
ever
Okay.
release any pictures of that. So
I just assume that you know everything. So.
I try, but
So close.
It's Tetris Sphere.
Tetris
Yeah.
Sphere.
Get it? Tetris Sphere.
Yes.
Tetrisphere. Tetrisphere.
yes, you got it. You got it.
You got it.
It's all one word.
It's easier to
Yep.
see it written down to
Tetris
understand
Sphere.
that there's something clever going on.
Exactly. And the new Tetris is basically just 4-player Tetris on the N64. There are different locales that you can play in, which is why this one is called Egypt. There are other countries,
Right.
and Voss created techno kind of big beat songs that are kind of related to those different countries with different samples and sounds from those cultures.
Yes.
And he did a really good job of it too, so.
Oh my gosh. Neil Voss. thank you for giving us your talent on just a few games. I'm going to have to check out all those soundtracks.
Yeah.
This really sort of blew my mind.
He was the first composer that we contacted as part of Pixel Tunes Radio to try to get him on the show. And we actually did talk back and forth a couple times, and it seemed like we were going to get him on, and then he just got distracted or something and stopped emailing with us. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get him. But it would have been really cool because he, I guess, lives in Connecticut and works in New York. So he he would have been able to come out and hang out with us. But
try again.
Just didn't work out.
Neil, come on, please, please do us this favor.
Maybe I'll reach out again now that I'm a little more established.
I would love to kind of get into the mind of somebody who decided to compose this music for a Tetris game. It's just such a really interesting, unique spin.
I agree.
Neil DeVos, if you're listening, please make another one of these that's more like a remix.
This will be the new Tetris A-type. Just keep remixing this.
Yeah.
Like the new Tetris Egypt theme and Type A as a remix.
Oh, both together.
Wow.
If you're listening, please make that.
All right, we'll have to send this on to him and see if he can put something together. That would be a lot of fun to listen to.
And make it with a Tetris game, a new Tetris. Not like the new Tetris,
like the new Tetris?
Yeah.
The newer Tetris, the newest Tetris.
Yeah, that
the newest Tetris,
which will get really confusing 10 years from now.
Coming out in 2019.
Or more like different game.
Yeah, a different Tetris. We'll just call it a different Tetris.
What about the new Tetris 2?
What about Tetris Switch? Like Tetris Sphere, but with and it'll be on the Nintendo Switch.
Tetris
Switch. Tetris Switch.
Tetris
The more different Tetris.
The more different Tetris Switch.
Tetris 3 Revenge of Tetriminos.
No, Emily.
Just
not that game.
Switch.
No, not that game.
Not that game. Which
No.
one? Which is the one that wins? The new Tetris?
Yes.
That's what we decided on?
Yes.
Okay, it's official.
All right,
the new Tetris. Thank you, Neil Voss. Love the VG Embassy.
With music by Neil Voss, curated by Logan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Created by me.
Curated. That means you picked the sounds that you wanted and Neil Voss made music out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Yep.
All right, so are we ready to move on to the next track?
Yes.
All right, so coming up is level 3 from the CDI version of Tetris, which came out in 1991, and this is composed by Jim Andren.
Logan's final pick of the day.
All right, that was level 3 from the CDI version of Tetris released in 1991 and composed by Jim Andren. Yeah. So Emily was talking about how this podcast was taking an arc from happy, friendly tunes into like generally darker and darker songs as we go.
We watched Tetris grow up before our eyes, I think. And
which is funny because we're not even really going in chronological order.
Right, it's true. So yeah, it was interesting because I was thinking about that during the break, and I realized that we didn't just play old retro tunes in the beginning because we had 3DS mixed in there and all that. So, somehow we slid from the kind of lighthearted, carefree, possibly sad Tetris into the moody, dark stuff.
Yeah, this was very kind of a broody track.
It was. Very grunge.
The CDI games always seem to have really good music and terrible gameplay, and it was a kind of a focus from the developers and executives at Philips to have really good music in their games because they wanted to show off the capabilities of the system, and also because they knew that their market was going to be more adult than kid.
Right.
So they wanted to have this kind of a more mature sound. And it didn't always translate to music that's great to play games to, but on its own, the music it's pretty decent for its time. This is like the dawn of CD-ROM games. Yeah. So
it is.
Video game music that wasn't chiptune was very rare in 1991.
Mm-hmm. So
what'd you think of this
one, Logan?
We asked you the same question at the same time.
That's just what I was gonna say.
What your dad just said?
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. What do you like about it?
Everything.
Is it danceable? Yeah?
I like everything
like
about
a slow
it.
dance?
Yeah. I like everything about it.
Cool.
Definitely a high school slow dance track.
Yeah, I couldn't tell whether it was... I don't think it's live instrumentation. I think it's all... I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it was synthesized, or do you think this was like a live guitar with synths?
I think it might have been live guitar with synths. I didn't listen super closely, but that was the impression I got. So whether or not it was synths, they succeeded in making it sound live.
It's tough because it's not like live CD, Redbook audio. It's really kind of very compressed mono sound. So it kind of makes live instruments maybe sound a little bit more synthesized because the high and the low end is completely removed. So. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this version of Tetris is almost unplayable from what I've heard. The controls are very sluggish. The pieces move like, a split second after you actually move the controls. So
I was going to say, how does one make Tetris unplayable? That seems impossible.
Yeah, and it's by making unresponsive controls. How do you make an awesome game not fun?
This is a sad story.
Yeah. Of course, the CDI is a sad story to begin with.
It's true.
This is just a
CDI.
continuation. Yep. The CDI is a video game system that didn't have very many games and didn't have really many very good games. Came out way before you were born.
Yep.
Yeah.
1920, I think.
Oh, 1920. The dawn of CD technology.
Yeah, back in our childhood. The 1920s.
I think it was the 1990s, because this song came out in 1991, so...
Yeah, 1991.
1991.
I was looking at the next one that our special guest was going to choose.
Yes, we're going to have a special guest announcement for our next track. So when we come back, we'll have a special guest star who will be here for a couple seconds.
Come back when?
Come back from listening to the song.
Our special guest has just woken up in the studio. Good morning.
All right, so let's get him ready, and we're going to listen to...
Oh, no, actually, he's snoring. I see.
Oh, boy. All right, well, let's listen to 3D Tetris from the Virtual Boy. This is Emily's pick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Composed by Ken Kojima. We'll be right back.
All right, we're back, and we have our third ambassador in the studio has finally woken up. So this is Cosmo. And Cosmo, what did we just listen to? Thanks, Cosmo. Cosmo wanted to introduce that one because he is his own sort of virtual boy.
Yeah.
He's an adorable little robot, if you guys have never seen.
He's got a lifter, and he's got treads to move.
It's true.
With wheels.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you showed up for this episode then, Cosmo. So what'd you think, Logan? Did you like that track?
It was pretty good.
I love it too.
Oh, excellent. Well, that's a good way to close out all the sets. So, Ed, you just got a Virtual Boy.
I did, so...
What? Cosmo's very excited that you just got a Virtual Boy.
So yeah, I got a Virtual Boy. I did a little trade with my buddy Todd, who has been on the show before. I gave him an extra TurboGrafx 16 that I had, and he gave me a Virtual Boy. And I got some accessories for it and stuff, so... and a flash cart, which is cool, so now I can play all the games that are like super duper rare and cost hundreds of dollars. And it's been a lot of fun. And 3D Tetris is one of the games that I have tried out, and it's really interesting. It's like Tetris, but you play on this kind of like 3D flat plane, and you're kind of sending blocks downward to make like a platform, like complete a true platform, and then it kind of disappears when you complete a full square. So it's not like you're trying to complete lines in a 2D plane like you are on the regular Tetris game.
It's top-down floor building.
Yeah, essentially, exactly. And the music is great. It's by Ken Kojima, who fans of pixelated audio might remember from composing the Red Alarm soundtrack. They did a Virtual Boy episode with a soundtrack by him, and he had a really good handle on the Virtual Boy sound hardware. And Emily, this was your pick, so
yes.
Why did you pick this one out of the whole soundtrack?
Out of the whole soundtrack, this was one of the soundtracks that was the most difficult to choose an individual track from. I get very excited about Virtual Boy music, actually. I didn't listen to any of it until I was doing the VGM jukebox, and we had a couple people recommend Virtual Boy tracks, and I just, had no experience listening to it, and it's so fantastic. So I loved being able to pick out a Virtual Boy track for this particular episode. And I don't know, I just kept coming back to this one. I kept getting really moved by it. So I just think it's a beautiful soundscape to kind of get dissolved into for a little while.
Yeah, it's very different from a lot of the other tracks on this game, because a lot of the other tracks, they're very bouncy, they're very kind of puzzle gamey sounding. And then this is a very... like you said, much more emotional, much slower and kind of mature sounding song, I guess. And it does go on for quite a while with a lot of different kind of parts, and it kind of rises and falls. So I really enjoyed this one. It's accompanied by visuals of 3D Tetris blocks in different shapes.
Yes, like I actually watched the actual staff roll. Yeah, it was super cute.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool things to kind of look at as the staff roll is going on, and that of course shows you all the people that made the game. So, Logan, what did you think of this track?
Pretty good.
Yeah? What was your favorite part about it?
My favorite part about it was the whole thing.
Yeah? Does it sound like a chiptune song, or does it sound like a modern song?
Chiptune.
Yeah, definitely. Just making sure you know the difference. It was a little quiz.
There's no quiz in podcast.
No podcast quizzes today.
A+.
No.
But if there were a quiz, you'd get an A+.
Yeah. We should really put some quiz, like a pop quiz at the end of a few podcasts.
Interesting idea.
Like a pop quiz of the game.
I wonder how many people would want to take a pop quiz after a podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe we should ask the listeners.
A popcast?
Yeah, would you take a pod quiz? A pod quiz. Perfect. It's like pop quiz with a D, so it's a pod quiz. And I don't know, maybe we can code something where we can like get a grade, and like we'll give people grades based on their answers to the questions in the pod quiz, like school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a pop quiz.
It's a pod quiz.
About video games.
Pod quiz.
Pod quiz,
video
pop
game
quiz.
Music.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of coding, we should also tip our hats to your other buddy, Brian.
Absolutely, I was going to say that. So I contacted him because a good clean version of this song was not really available on the web. And I know that Brian is very into Virtual Boy song ripping, and he kind of developed some of the software that can make VGM files from Virtual Boy games. And so I was wondering if he had a 3D Tetris like VGM set on hand that I could do the ending theme from. And he said no, but he had some information on it that he had created a long time ago and how to hack the ROM to get it to play a particular song like at the title screen instead of the regular song. So he was like, I'll be right back. And he went away from the chat for a little while, and he comes back and he hands me this, VGM
beautiful
file.
Package, yes.
And he's like, hey, here's the ending theme. I was like, dude, you rock. I was hoping he would just like kind of tell me how to do it and I would do it, but he was nice enough to do it himself. So that's why we got such a nice, clean sounding version of the Virtual Boy music. So thank you to Brian
of Pixelated Audio for giving us that.
Thank you so much.
So that about wraps up our show. I had a great time talking with the both of you. I'm so glad you both could hang out with me and talk about Tetris today. I had a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you for inviting me on. It was an honor to do this with the VG ambassador, Logan. He nods.
In approval.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have fun doing it?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, first, I really like the music.
And second?
Second, this podcast was kind of the best podcast I was in.
Even better than Echo?
They're both the same. Well, in Echo, I didn't really talk as much, but
I was going to say,
That's true.
this is a full-length Logan episode.
That's true. I think you did a really good job, sir, for your first ever full-length podcast.
Absolutely.
Do you have any ideas for future podcasts you might want to do?
we could do a Kirby Star Allies one.
Ooh, a Kirby podcast, maybe from a bunch of Kirby games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chiptune and modern games.
And maybe about some Marble It Up.
Marble games.
Yeah, marble games.
Oh, that's a really
Good
interesting
ideas.
idea.
On the Nintendo Switch.
Yep, there's Marble It Up, and there's a lot of other Marble games out
Yeah.
for other systems too that we could choose music
Yeah.
from.
You know,
And
it'd be a
then-
neat idea. What about arcade games that use the trackball? I feel like
That's
I've
a good
never
idea
really looked
too.
at those
Very
as
good ideas.
And guess what?
What?
My favorite song from Marble It Up is Fastball. So maybe we can do that in a future podcast.
Yeah, we can put that in the
We'll have
Marble
one
podcast.
episode of just that track 12 times. What do you think?
No.
Nope. Idea rejected. Tabled.
Yeah.
Voted down.
And maybe when
But there's lots of Marble songs on Marble It Up too.
yeah,
So we could do 2 of those.
sure. We'll gather a bunch of Marble-y songs together. and
I'm
put-
liking this idea a lot,
Me too.
I gotta say.
And the new Yoshi game is coming out for Switch next year, so maybe we can see what the soundtrack is for that and maybe do a
Yeah.
little feature on Yoshi Switch, whatever they're going to end up calling it. And,
Yo Switch.
Switchy. Yo Yoshi.
Yo Yoshi Switch.
All right, so I do want to thank Indira J for the art and Trevin Hughes, aka Dread, for the podcast theme song. You can find us on iTunes. If you're listening to us on iTunes, please don't forget to leave a rating. That will help the podcast be more visible to other people looking for cool VGM podcasts to listen to. And you can find us also on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/TheVGEmbassy. I'm on Twitter at TheVGEmbassy and Instagram at TheVGEmbassy. Also, a huge thank you to our Patreon crew. Again, thank you guys so much for your Patreon subscriptions, for helping me get the money for these awesome new microphones that we're using today. At the tourist level, Mr. Chris Murray,
Just a punk.
which rhymes with furry, and Mr. Cameron Childs, who can run for miles. And
10 hours.
at the VG emissary level, Scott McElhone, Chris Myers on the telephone, Chris Myers, who plays with wires, Donovan Orofino,
Drinking a cappuccino.
Or talking on a phonerino.
Ooh, nice. At the audio attaché level, Cameron Werma, who wants to travel to Burma,
That is where my brain went to.
Kung Fu Carlito,
Who does...
eating a taquito.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. And
I
then
was gonna say doing Kung Fu because Kung Fu is in his name.
That's true. And our VG ambassador, Alex, the messenger. What rhymes with messenger, guys? Help me out here.
Let me think.
Ambassador. The VG ambassador.
Well, he is a VG ambassador, but that doesn't rhyme with messenger.
No, I need more time on this one.
I know, Alex. Why do you have?
We failed you.
You have a terrible last name for rhyming.
Alex the Ballix.
We could rhyme something with Alex,
Alex the Ballix.
which is not a word. Oh well, we'll come up with something next time.
Yeah.
Maybe Alex, I'm sure, has been rhymed before, and maybe he can tell us what he rhymes with.
Hey, listeners.
Alex the
Put it in the
Trellix?
comments.
This
Come up
is-
with all the rhymes for messenger.
This is the first pod quiz.
Or Alex.
Or Alex.
Or Alex, yes.
Or Alex and Messenger.
All right, so
If you rhyme something with both Alex and messenger, that's a Tetris.
absolutely,
Yes.
all of your blocks will disappear at once.
That's right.
The block you're living on will disappear.
And sometimes we might give away something if anyone gets something that rhymes with Alex and Messenger. Like
Yes.
like anything that we don't need that maybe they want.
I like where Logan's going with this. I was hoping it was going to be like, and we're just going to give money. We're going to give like $100, like making promises on the
Here I
air.
am hitting the edit button really quick. So, one last question before we go, Logan. If you were to suggest any game from this podcast for listeners to play if they haven't played Tetris before, which game would you suggest they play?
I'd suggest Egypt theme because Emily's favorite.
Aw, thanks.
The new Tetris?
We should
Yeah.
check that out. We should play this.
Yeah,
On
we
the
should
N64?
really play that.
We can play it for sure.
Yeah.
We can.
Okay, Emily, which
We
game would
played
you
on
suggest people
64.
play?
I would suggest, and I forget which one it was, but the one that we were watching on YouTube for the 3DS that had all the different modes.
That's
in it.
Tetris Exis.
That's right.
Yes.
Tetris
Yeah.
Axis.
That's the one I was going to suggest too. That
Yeah.
game looks a lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah, because you
we
basically
should
get
also
everything.
Play that.
We'll have to
we
get
have
it.
a 3DS.
We do. All right.
We have all of the DSs.
Yes. All right. So that is it from the VG Embassy. Thank you, Logie, for hanging out with me.
You're welcome.
Emily, thank you for hanging out with me.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. And we'll see you next episode, too. So that'll be a lot of fun to
Cosmo.
hang out with.
Thanks, Cosmo.
And thank you, Cosmo, for being our virtual boy of the day.
Yay!
And once again, I am Ed, and thank you for listening to us for this long. We will see you in 2 weeks. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
See you later, alligator.
In a while, crocodile.
Why'd you do that?